Michael Misa, get ready to learn San Jose.
You're Locked On Sharks, your daily podcast on the San Jose Sharks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, welcome to Locked On Sharks, the premier hockey podcast covering your favorite team in the Bay Area. My name is JD Young, caretaker at the Reef, also the co-host of Locked On NHL. I want to thank you for making Locked On Sharks your first listen. Proudly part of the Locked On Network. We cover your team every day. And if you want to be an everyday, all you have to do is just follow along wherever you get podcasts, or you can watch on YouTube as well. And we are reacting to the NHL Draft Lottery, where the Sharks will be picking second at the end of June. So we're going to be discussing kind of what this means for the Sharks, why they're still going to have a pick at a super awesome player. And then Mike Grier met with the media for a little bit. We'll kind of break down some of the topics that he talked about. So let's get started with, of course, the media reaction, right? With the Sharks picking second. And I was very calm all day. Got a little anxious around 3:30 today with it. But yes, the Sharks did win the lottery, and we talked about it yesterday a little bit, where it didn't feel so pressing this year, right? Especially with not a guy like Celebrini. Schaefer and Misa, I think, are both excellent prospects, but right, there wasn't a Connor Bedard, there wasn't a Macklin Celebrini, and you felt like if you were in the top two picks, you're gonna get either Schaefer or Michael Misa, or everyone kind of considers the top two guys in their own little, section above there. And then kind of everything starts at number 3 here. So it's a fine position. Like, you're still getting a great player. And we're going to talk more about these two guys here in a little bit, and why I do think it'll be most likely Misa, because I think the Islanders need everything right now. So, but watching it on the I hated it and I loved it at the same time, the way they did it, right? Because you're trying to, keep up with what's going on, and you're, they're showing the balls, and you gotta wait 30 seconds. 30 seconds is an obnoxiously long time to wait between ping pong ball drawings, but I get it. You got to build the drama, you got to build the suspense, all that fun stuff, right? But super fun and super annoying at the same time. So I assume they're going to keep doing this because Gary Bettman, I think you could tell he had a little bit of a wry smile on his face with this, the way they did it. So, and plus, right, you can't say that I guess it's harder to say that it's rigged, because they're literally doing it right in front of you here. So, but for the Sharks, right, you are still in a great position to add a top-end talent. And while I know a lot of Sharks fans, myself included, were dreaming of Michael Misa roaming the blue line with Matthew Schaefer, but they were dreaming of Matthew Schaefer roaming the blue line with Sam Dickinson, right? And having those top-end pieces. You're like having two ridiculous forwards in Celebrini and Michael Misa. Like, if Michael Misa is your 2C, awesome. And if you move Will Smith back to center, you can have a legitimate competition between Smith and Michael Misa at center. And if Will Smith becomes a wing, cool. And Mike Grier, spoiler, said the Sharks are not in a position to be picking for need. They are picking the best player available on their board. Doesn't matter if they're center, forward, winger, goalie, defenseman, whatever it is. If you pick a goalie at number 2, we're having Mike Grier, you and I are going to be having a fight. I'm going to lose that fight, but we're still having a fight. I'm joking. Mike Grier is really good at drafting, I fully expect them to, whatever they do at 2, they're going to get a great player, right? I think we can give Mike Grier the benefit of the doubt at this point, with the way his drafts have started to come together and the talent that he has collected over the past couple seasons. But yes, it's a little disappointing to not get that number 1 overall pick, but still, after last year, right? You got Macklin. You did the hard part last year, and you got Macklin Celebrini, and you definitely felt as long as you're in the top 2 and didn't fall those top 2, you felt like you're going to get a great player, and the Sharks are going to get a great player, whether it is Schaefer or whether it is Misa, and maybe the Islanders, full on galaxy brain it and pick somebody else. And we know that James Higgins grew up as an as an Islanders fan, and he was still considered like the number one pick. And maybe the Islanders look at Schaefer and say the dude hasn't played enough, and there's still plenty of pathways to the Sharks potentially getting Matthew Schaefer. Maybe the Sharks trade up, which never happens. I do believe like you're going to walk away from the draft feeling great about what you got. Maybe you have that what if, type of, but there's still other ways to fill the defensive needs. And, we will look at some of those throughout the rest of the summer here on how to kind of look at and focus on defensemen available at the end of the first, beginning of the second. And, there's plenty of other avenues to help fill that role. But it's, again, you're going to get a good player. Mike Grier said, we're really excited about the player we're going to be getting here at number 2. And you should be really excited about the player you're going to get at number 2. If it is Michael Misa's sick, man. Like an exceptional status player, most likely going to be going to college next year, just dominated the OHL. You saw what he did with Igor Chernyshov, right? The hope is he goes to college for a year and then he's playing in the NHL after that. And perfectly happy with that because of what he will potentially bring to the San Jose Sharks, right? And then you don't have to worry about is Will Smith the center or not, right? What's great to have? Guys who can play center or guys who can play wing. Michael Misa played wing, transitioned back to center this year. Will Smith played center his whole life, played really well on the wing right now. And guess what? Guys get hurt a lot. It happens, right? Flexibility among your top 6 forwards, super high-end top 6 forwards, that's a great thing to have. So, and Smith and Misa are very much different players. And, Misa is a guy who played in all situations for Saginaw. He is going to be an excellent fit for the Sharks. And having potentially 200, we know Macklin Celebrini, what Macklin Celebrini can do. Also, really quick, congratulations to Macklin Celebrini on his Calder Trophy finalist. Him and Dustin Wolf and Lane Hudson, congratulations to Celebrini there. Having 2 200-foot centers that you can put out there in any situation, because I do believe Michael Misa is going to be that guy for the Sharks as a 200-foot center. Sounds great to me, man. Sign me up for 15 years of that. You want to have look at how the Blackhawks won their trophies, right? Look at how their Stanley Cups. Look how the Penguins won their Stanley Cups, right? Sidney Crosby, Malkin down the middle. Celebrini, Misa down the middle. Still a really, really great way to go. So, well, again, disappointing you may not get Schaefer. I do think there's other avenues to fill that. And finding a 2C who would be probably a 1C on most teams behind Celebrini, that's a really nice problem to have if you're the San Jose Sharks. So we'll talk about kind of the, how the Sharks could potentially end up with Schaefer or Misa a little bit here. We'll talk kind of about what the Islanders prospect pool looks like and why I do think it's going to be ultimately Schaefer for them. And then we'll get into Mike Grier's media availability here in just 1 second.
An award-winning mattress can change your life. I speak from experience. It happened to me. After years of uncomfortable sleeps, I recently switched to Bear Mattress, and the results were instant. Bear Mattress is designed with a focus on recovery, cooling, and pressure relief to upgrade your sleep and improve your overall quality of life. I used to deal with night sweats, but Bear's best-in-class cooling ensures optimal temperature regulation, which prevents overheating and helps me stay comfortable all night long. Bear offers a wide variety of mattresses, but to get the right one for you, take their sleep quiz that matches you to your perfect mattress based on body type and sleep preferences. Go to bearmattress.com and use promo code LOCKEDONNHL at checkout to get 40% off site-wide. This offer is not available anywhere else. You have to use my promo code on the very last page of checkout to get this discount. That's bearmattress.com. Use my promo code LOCKEDONNHL to get 40% off site-wide. Bearmattress.com, promo code LOCKEDONNHL.
All right, before we continue, do of course want to thank you guys for making Locked On Sharks your first listen. Make sure you guys are following along wherever you get podcasts, and of course you can watch on YouTube as well. Plenty of great stuff coming up over the summer, right? You have a second overall pick, $40 million in cap space, a fun and frisky team in the San Jose Sharks. So we're going to, of course, keep an eye on how Mike Grier continues to build this bad boy as again, we enter our fun and frisky phase. So make sure you're following along wherever you get podcasts. And of course, subscribe on YouTube as well. So, what do the Isles do? Because, right, the whole thing is based on what the Isles do. And while, again, the Isles could Galaxy Brain, they don't have a GM right now. Lou Lamoriello's, he's hanging around in the dark back corner, right, doing Lou Lamoriello things, but they're going to hire a new GM here. Who's got the first overall pick. This roster's got a bajillion old people on it, and they're legitimately, if not one of the worst prospect pools in the NHL, right? Just what this team is right now. So, you know, they did get, like last year, they drafted Cole Yzerman, kind of in the mid round, but like they don't really have much in terms of just prospects that you get super jazzed up around. Like this team has been trying to win a Stanley Cup. They're a very old roster right now. Like even just looking, looking at like Lee Anders, Kyle Palmieri. I know Palmieri needs like a new deal. Jean-Gabriel Pageau, Anthony Duclair. Like Anthony Duclair is a spring chicken at age 29 for this team. Like their like rookie was like 26. Like they're like, this is a very old team that needs some injection of talent. So you could look at them and just be like, they're just going to draft whatever the best player is. But you do think for them, right, where it's like they have so many potential holes where it's going to be the legitimately like the best player available for them. And Schaefer 100% like is the potential best player in this draft. So there is of course the questions about Schaefer of, the dude just can't stay healthy right now because, he played 20 some odd games last year and hasn't played a game this entire calendar year. But like this team definitely needs an injection of talent. So, and they haven't picked like a defenseman in a while when it comes to like top end picks. Like last year they picked Cole. Like they did get a second round pick last year, Jesse Pulkkinen, who they picked second and the 54th overall pick in the second round last year. He's already signed his ELC. But like it's this is a team that definitely could use a defenseman, like just any sort of defenseman on the roster or in the building at some point here. So I do think that's the direction they go, is Schaefer, right? And again, they could surprise us. And as we get closer to the draft, we'll know more, maybe know more. The Isles, of course, very quiet and secretive about what they do, right? Lou Lamoriello, old school guy like that. Like he'll bury somebody be like under a turnpike if they kind of leak out what they're going to do. But you're like, Misa is going to be, like if it is Schaefer and the Sharks are going to be in a position to pick Misa, and maybe they look at Higgins, and I know Higgins is like was considered the number one kind of prospect coming into it. We talked about Porter Martone yesterday. If the Sharks were to get number 3, why I think Porter Martone is the guy. But, like Mike Grier was asked about Misa, and he, said it's the guy they've been watching since last year when they were, scouting Zane Parekh, of course, when the Sharks had one, a second top 15 pick, or what I think was a pick 13 or whatever, 14 or whatever they got from the Penguins, right? And they eventually moved up to number 11 and eventually picked Sam Dickinson, Parekh going number 9 to the Calgary Flames. But like, I think it's really clear, and there's going to be people who are going to say, well, Mike Grier is just going to pick the biggest dude and stuff. And Misa's still like a good size. Yes, he's not Porter Martone big and stuff. But like Michael Misa's like a legit like dude, right? And especially if you look at the way that, when it comes to size, he's 6'1", 185 pounds or so. Like, he's got a big enough frame where you feel like you're going to, like, he's not a small dude. This isn't like you're drafting, like he's bigger than Will Smith. He's bigger than William Eklund. He's bigger than Macklin Celebrini. And you have big wingers, right? You look at Chernyshov, you look at Musty, like you have some big winger. You look at Kasper Holtzen, you have some big wingers in the pipeline, and that doesn't mean you can't continue to add big wingers elsewhere. Like, I do think Misa I think it's going to be Misa as the pick, and we'll see as the process bears out. But we've seen, Michael Misa is a guy who can play all 200 feet. He can score. He can pass. He's very there's a reason why he was such a highly touted prospect coming into the OHL that received exceptional status. If you don't know, exceptional status means basically it allowed him to play at a younger age. Like, they only give that to certain people. So I think they said it was usually the 7th or the 9th, like, exceptional status player. Like, and like, they don't just hand this thing out to all willy-nilly. He already has 3 full seasons in the OHL, right? Before his draft year, he already has 3 full seasons. So he really only has to play one more season. Like, if he doesn't go to college, he only has to play one more OHL season, and then he can play in the AHL if he wants to. He even has a little bit of a later birthday of February. Misa's, and again, he scored 62 goals in 65 games at 134 points this season. I know the playoffs weren't great, and he was banged up in there. He had 2 goals, 1 assist in 4 games in the playoffs this year, but definitely wasn't the greatest performance, but definitely was not 100% during the playoffs. But yeah, Michael Misa is a really great consolation prize if you're not getting Matthew Schaefer. Our good bald friend Tony Ferrari sent me a message. Let's see. He said, congrats on Misa and Celebrini down the middle and having the best center due in the NHL in a couple of years. LOL. That's from our bald friend. Tony Ferrari. So yes, Sharks in a great position here. So we will, of course, debate this, and we'll do the Michael Misa like we did a Michael Misa episode. We'll do Michael Misa deep dives. We'll continue to look at other guys in that area for the Sharks. Look at if they should potentially trade. There's plenty of meat on the bone when it comes to the 2nd overall pick. So we're not going to do the whole offseason today, but I do want to talk about Mike Grier's press availability. So where he did give an update on Eklund and talks about an Eklund contract extension coming up. Looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1-ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. Personally, I like the in-shell variety, but if you like the no-shell variety, I'm not going to shell shame you. Everybody, enjoy pistachios however you like. They have plenty of different flavors. I love just throwing it like in my work bag because I always get hungry around like 2:30, right around snacky time. Nice little treat for myself to kind of get me going through the day, especially with like soccer practice and everything going on with the kids. It's just nice to know I have that with me. So get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. All right, before we finish up, do of course want to thank you guys for making Locked On Sharks your first listen. When you're done with this show, go check out the Locked On NHL Game Night. Every game, every night until a Stanley Cup champion is crowned. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find NHL Game Night on Locked On NHL on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. So, General Manager Mike Grier did meet with the media via Zoom after, of course, and most of the questions were about, kind of trying to pry some information from him and stuff about like, what are you going to do in number 2, right? And he was very Mike Grier is not going to give you anything if he doesn't want to give you anything. So, but right, he's very much like, we're going to pick a good player. We're really excited about the player we're going to pick there. He was asked questions about Misa, who again, everyone kind of has ranked at that number 2 spot there. And I do feel like that's the direction. I feel like Misa is a player that Mike Grier would covet, right? And you look at Will Smith, right? Not known for his defense, but a special talent. Quinn Musty, right, got at 26, not known, for but there's special qualities about Quinn Musty. Michael Misa, extremely special qualities about him and what he does and what he would bring to the Sharks organization. So, but some of the other things. So he did give an update on William Eklund. So William Eklund did successfully have exploratory wrist surgery. The timeline is about 3 months. So going to be out for Worlds, of course, is expected to be back for training camp. So I think if you didn't see it, right, it was circulating. He at one of the preliminary games, skate blade to the wrist, right? It looked bad, right? Like a Vander Kane type of situation here. Like these things always scare you, but sounds like they kind of dodged a bullet here where, they had surgery here. They just want to make sure everything looks good and everything's cleaned up and everything like that. And he should be available for training camp. So good news on that front that he will be available. I did ask, following up on William Eklund, with his contract to extension, William Eklund is eligible for a contract extension starting July 1st. He still has 1 more year on his ELC, but you can sign a contract extension basically anytime after you hit that 1 year. You can start to do that. So I did ask him kind of what the plan was there, and he said they're gonna he was very we're gonna keep all of our options open, whether it's a bridge deal or a long term, et cetera, et cetera. But he did meet with William Eklund's agent recently in Dallas. So discussion has been started, which is good. Right now, I followed up and I was like, how important is it to kind of get this done, especially with how you traded away so many players? William Eklund, kind of that first foundational piece, et cetera, et cetera. And he talked about how, you want to start to build something here. And Eklund has been kind of that first guy, and you don't want to just keep trading away, and you want to start to be able to lock up some of your pieces long term. So good news there. We will explore this topic more in the coming weeks, but for all those people saying the Sharks are going to trade William Eklund, and no, William Eklund's going to stay, and maybe not July 1st. I'm just guessing here, but maybe not July 1st, but I do think Eklund gets his long-term contract sometime this year. So, because he is 100% worth it. And right, we saw Matthew Coronado get signed. We did see, Matty Beniers from his draft class has been signed. We've seen some of these other pieces get signed. Eklund, I would want to get this done sooner rather than later because the contract's just going to get more and more expensive. And Eklund's the type of guy you want to build around. And I think Eklund is a guy who could potentially be wearing a letter A on his jersey, on the front of his jersey next season. So, yes, I just get it done. Show everyone you're ready to stop messing around, start building something. So, so he did talk about that. People did ask if he's going to be willing to trade the second overall pick, and Mike Grier did also say like he's going, explore all options, et cetera, et cetera. He's going to say that, right? Again, someone did ask about potentially trading up for the first overall pick, and he said he hasn't really thought about it much, which maybe I'll give you half credit on that one, Mike Grier. I bet you've explored that already. So, but as we kind of highlighted already with the Islanders, who knows, right? Because the Islanders do need so much stuff right now. Like, would they be interested in picking sliding back a spot, picking up some other assets, and then being able to draft a top end center, right? Assuming the Sharks go get Schaefer, go getting a top end center, which they don't really have in their Islanders eat everything right now. So, we'll explore that. But again, I just don't see a new GM coming in and a brand new GM coming in and trading down out of the first overall pick seems a little crazy, but crazier things have happened. So, we'll see. So, but overall though, it did seem like the Sharks are, they're going to be looking at also trade their options. He didn't say it's trade, but he said they're going to be looking at their options with the Dallas pick, right? And they're still kind of seeing where that lands, of course, as Dallas is still in the playoffs right now after their very fun, great weekend of hockey, but very fun comeback win. So I'm still on I don't think the Sharks make a pick with that pick camp. I do think they trade it for a more established or soon to a up and coming NHL player, is my guess. And especially if you miss out on Matthew Schaefer, which we believe the Sharks are probably going to miss out on Matthew Schaefer, I think the urgency to use that Dallas pick to help you find a young defenseman who can be part of your long-term future, I think it just goes up right now. And I do think Greer, noted trader Mike Grier, will probably do something with that pick to try to, again, fill a need. And I do think that's what the Sharks are going to do. So if you end up with this offseason where maybe you don't get Schaefer, but you do get Michael Misa, and then whatever that pick is with the Dallas pick is the center part of a go get a young defenseman. Not a bad start to your offseason if you're Mike Grier in the San Jose Sharks. So we'll be back. So this is Tuesday's episode is going to be coming out early or late Monday afternoon. This will be Tuesday's episode. We'll be back on Wednesday. We have a draft profile coming for you. Our good friend Steven Ellis from the Daily Faceoff joins, and we talk about 3 players that he really likes at that end of the first, beginning of the second. So make sure you guys are following along wherever you get podcasts. And of course, you can watch on YouTube as well. Follow the show on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Locked On Sharks. Follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky at My Fry Hole. Until tomorrow. Bye, friends.